The mansion was quite too quiet. The ticking of the antique clock echoed through the hallway as Vine sat on the edge of the bed, hand resting over her glowing belly, 8 months pregnant, and yet not once had her husband touched her belly or spoke of the baby. Dinner is ready, she said gently. Taehyung entered the room, as trail coat still on, jaw sharp with exhaustion and indifferent. I ate, he replied shortly, walking past her, not a sparing glance. He hadn't looked her in eyes in weeks. One heart cracked a little more. She used to crave his attention, his laughter, his affection. Now she lived on memory of their honeymoon, of the days before the world changed, before the pregnancy, before he started drifting away. "Do you even want this baby?" she asked suddenly, her voice breaking. He paused in the doorway. "I never asked for it." The word hit her like a slap. She turned away before he could see her tear. The rain poured relentlessly outside, igniting the storm within her heart. Vine stood in the kitchen, trying to pour herself a glass of water when the sharp pain coursed through her back button. The glass slipped from her hand, shattering against the marble floor. She grabbed into the counter for support. "Not now, please, not yet." She was 8 months. The doctor said she had time, but as another wave of pain ripped through her, she knew something was wrong. She screamed, but the house answered silence. He wasn't home. She gathered down her phone, finger trembling, barely managed to dial the emergency number. Her vision blurred as she slumped against the floor, her dress soaked in the blood and water. "Ma'am, stay with us. Help in on the way," the operator voice said calmly. She clutched her belly, whispered through her tears, "Stay with me, please." At the hospital, everything blurred into white light. Rushing nurse and the beeping machine. The pain was unreadable, but the ache in her heart was worse. Back then, the office, he stared at his phone screen, his jaw tightened as Jimin name flashed on the 5th time. He finally answered with a sign, "What?" "You are selfish," Jimin snapped. "Your wife in the hospital. She's having the baby earlier. She almost died calling the ambulance alone." The phone slipped from his hand. Taehyung breathed as he ran through the hospital corridor, heart pounding like a drum against his rib. For the first time in the month, the icy numbness had wrapped around his chest, cracked. A fear poured like a flood. He burst into the maternity ward. "Where is Vine?" The nurse recognized him instantly. Her expression tight. "She's emergency surgery. The baby came early. She lost a lot of blood." His knees nearly gave out. "Surgery blood alone?" Jimin appeared beside him, joggling. "You should have been there. I didn't know." His whisper holly was breaking. "Jimin, I swear, you didn't even care to know." The word cut deeper than he expected. The truth was had care. He'd just been afraid of falling, afraid of being like his father, afraid of feeling too much. But now, staring through the glass of a wrinkle, the baby, pale woman being wheeled into the recovery, all seems like a cowardice. His place is warm, the glass. His son, alone, fragile, fighting his wife, unconscious, Rain, still beautiful, tear welled up his eyes for the first time in years. "I I'm sorry, whispered his voice trembling. Please come back. The hospital room was dim and quiet except for the soft beep of the monitor. One slowly street eyes flaring open as through her body even felt so heavy. Then she remembered the baby, the blood, the silence. Her finger instantly moved over the flatness of her stomach, then a IV in her hand. One came, a voice low, broken and familiar. She turned her head slowly. He was sitting beside her bed, his dry loose hair, deviously pale face with a guilt and fatigue. You are awake, he whispered, standing instantly. I stay, I didn't leave, I promise I won't. You wasn't there when it's mattered, she said weakly, cutting him off his breath. I screamed for you, she whispered. I called your name. While I was bleeding on the kitchen floor, I still thought you come running. He opened his mouth, but no word came out. I almost died, she said, her voice cracking. Your son, our son, he came into the world while I begging a stranger on the phone to save me. His knee buckled, he sat down, head falling into his hand. I know, I failed. Spare me the excuses, she whispered coldly. It doesn't fix anything. He looked at her, eyes red, throat thick with emotion. Can I see him? Why look away? He is in the NICU, asked the nurse. You will have signed as his father if you still want to be the one. Was quite safe for the soft hiss of oxygen, the hum of monitor behind the glass. Stood froze, staring at the incubator. Inside lay his son, so small, so still, a tang of tube. Quite breathe. He wasn't prepared for this. Not the fear, not the love, not the egg. A nurse approached. Would you like to hold him? Mr. Kim thinks on hard, knowing his hand slow shook as they were sanitized and gloved, and the nurse gently lifted the baby and placed him in his arms. And then the silence, the world narrowed his son, teeny finger shallow breathed her heart, a heart that beat against his own. I am your dad, he whispered, tears slipping down his cheek. I didn't know how much I needed you until now, and I am sorry I made your mom cry this alone. The baby shifted silently in his arm, and something inside his crack opened. Later he returned to Vian's room. She was awake, expression unreadable. As she watched him standing in the doorway holding a small photograph of the baby, he asked the nurse to print. I held him, he said softly. He's strong. He looked like you. She said nothing. He stepped closer but didn't dare sit. I know sorry means nothing to you right now. I wouldn't forgive me either. But I am going to stay, not because I deserve it, but because he does. Because you. One panel looked at him, his eyes were tired, wounded. I don't need promise. I need presence, and you failed. He noted shame in every line of his face. Then let me try to fix what I broke, even if it's take the rest of my life.